Well, let's speak now to Stanley Semelane, a senior researcher for energy industry development at the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research. Stanley, good afternoon to you. I think the name that people are going to be Googling is Car Power Ships. They've won, really, it seems, quite a significant portion of these contracts, or become preferred bidders, rather. They're going to be putting their ships and anchoring their ships off Saldanha Bay, Kocha and Richards Bay. How do these ships actually generate electricity?
Thank you, Stephen. Evening to your viewers as well. Well, the car ships technology is something that is not really, I'm not really familiar with, but I know that from the ships that there are several ways where you can generate power. One, you can use wind. There's what we call the kite power, where you can try to use wind and drive the generators. I've seen, for example, I think 3 years ago, there were talks in the media that there were ships that were going to come in the Western Cape, and they were going to just plug into a grid, and they were going to use a mix of technologies such as gas, for example, and mixing with the wind that is available in the sea. So yeah, that's what I think it is. Myself, I'm going to immediately after this just to look how they're going to really deploy that, because yeah, I was looking in terms of all technologies that are listed in the integrated resource plan. Thank you.
I mean, we have now 8 preferred bidders. They will produce together, so the actual target is 2,000. They'll produce together 1,845 megawatts. It'll be only from August next year. I mean, we're in load shedding, stage 2 load shedding now. I've got to tell you, I'm not going to speak for the minister, but I think he's going to face a criticism that things are just not moving quickly enough.
Well, I don't think that would be a fair point in my humble view. Firstly, because it doesn't matter which technology is selected for this emergency 2000. It takes time to construct any power plant, whether it's renewable or any form of a technology. That's one. So the current renewable energy plants that we have right now, average construction time, you're looking at about 15 to 24 months, the ones that are currently feeding power into the grid. So it really takes time. So my expectation was that we are probably going to see the impact of the power plants that would be announced today around end of June 2022 and between September. So that was just my general thinking. It's not a solution overnight, but I think it is a step in the right direction, whereby if you think specifically about the fiscal position of the country, our power utilities struggle to raise funds, to raise capital. This announcements allows the partnership between the public and private sector to really contribute in supplying power that will eventually assist in the economic recovery that the country really requires. So I think it's a step in a good direction. One worry on the other hand, because yes, it's great. If the economy is going to start to grow, then you are likely to have more challenges in terms of meeting the demand that would be required. And the other spin-offs that could be derived out of this and things that could be done down in the value chain.
Stanley, I must ask, the minister was at great pains, Greta Mantashe, to state that if you wanted to generate electricity for your own use, you don't need a license. In fact, he said if you want to, have a power station on your property that to generate 1,000 megawatts, you can do that. You only need a license when you want to sell the surplus or trade it or add that to the grid. Is that new, or is that previous policy?
Look, the existing policy, as I know it, really allows self-generation up to a maximum of 1 megawatt. And we saw on the SONA, although there were no specifics with regards to the amount of megawatts that would be allowed to roll out or to be deployed without requiring a license. There was no specification at the SONA. But as far as I'm concerned, the licensing you do not need a licensing requirement if you are generating for self-consumption under less than 1 megawatt, what we call the embedded generation. Yes, the industry, particularly renewable energy industry, has been calling for licensing requirements to be relaxed because, of course, of the challenges from the supply side. And yeah, I think those it's a great announcement. I think the National Energy Regulator will have to really try to put up some framework, because look, from the policy point of view, you cannot have because we project power, we try to model, or energy modelers model how much power it's going to be required in relation to the economic growth. And if you are going to have if you like, anyone to generate their own power without requiring a license, as long as they don't sell it or not for commercial purposes, then the generators, particularly power utilities, might find themselves in trouble. Because remember, you and me, Stephen, every time you switch on your lights at home, you expect them to come on, and they either supplied by your local municipality or our national utility. So if you are particularly going to be grid tied, meaning that you're going to generate that power, but when the sun or the wind is not available, you are going to expect your utility to supply you, then your utility would then have to manage and still generate. And I think there are some policy gaps in that regard that would have to be, made more clear in terms of what direction the country is going to take in that regard.
Stanley Semelane, thanks very much indeed. I do appreciate it. A senior researcher for energy industry development at the Center for the Study of Scientific and Industrial Research, the CSIR. All right.